Now, as the world battles COVID-19, several theories about its existence and its origin are doing the rounds. One of them is about how it spread, and it was from a leak from a Wuhan lab, an experiment gone wrong, many say. We're now joined by Francis Boyle, a US-based human rights lawyer and professor of international law, who claimed that coronavirus really is a bioweapon. So my first question to you is that coronavirus is a bioweapon leak from Wuhan. That's your statement, following which a lot of people, including the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, also not just has rejected this theory, but also criticized you for it. What is your first reaction to that?
Well, thank you very much for having me on, and my best to all my friends in India, where I have visited and have great respect for Indian civilization, and especially Mahatma Gandhi. Well, look, the United States government owns and operates Radio Free Asia, and one of their reporters called me up and asked me for an interview on this precise matter. And then they put out a news story on it in Chinese that they broadcast all over Asia. So I guess if I'm good enough for the United States government's Radio Free Asia, I suspect I'm good enough for India.
Sir, but why do you think this is a bioweapon? Could you elaborate on if there is any proof to really substantiate this claim that you're making? Because if so, this is a large allegation, a very grave allegation against the Chinese government.
Yes, well, I was the one who drafted the United States domestic implementing legislation for the Biological Weapons Convention that was known as the Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989. It was passed unanimously by both houses of the United States Congress and then signed into law by President George Bush Sr. So apparently they don't think I'm a lunatic either. What can I say? And my implementing legislation was specifically designed to deal with the use of DNA genetic engineering for the manufacture of biological weapons. So certainly that is my opinion about what is going on here. And that is also confirmed in the scientific literature. I believe the member of the Indian Parliament has cited the appropriate article there that ties all this in, that it's clear, and I have the article right here, but you can read it in the Indian news media citation, that this was developed as an existentially dangerous biological warfare weapon at the University of North Carolina, that the Chinese government was involved. They helped pay for this. They sent one of the scientists there to be involved in this. It appears she then took this extremely dangerous technology back to the Wuhan BSL-4, where she worked at the time, and tried to weaponize it there. I also studied by Indian scientists that this coronavirus has HIV in there. I think that's correct. The Wuhan BSL-4 also worked with the Australian government on weaponizing corona and HIV. So I think I believe this is what we call a chimera, and they tried to weaponize this at the Wuhan BSL-4 lab, and it leaked. There have been leaks before there in China at bioweapons labs. So based on all the available evidence that I've been able to read in the public record and the scientific literature, I believe that's what happened.
But Mr. Boyle, some would say that this is just a figment of your imagination because China is the biggest loser in all of this. They have recorded over 3,000 deaths, over 80,000 cases of coronavirus. So why would China do something like this, something consequences of which they have to face themselves?
Sure, it was a mistake. It was an accident. They were trying to weaponize this combination from the University of North Carolina and Australia, and they made a mistake. It was an accident. They shot themselves in the foot. I'm not saying they did this deliberately to themselves, but it got out of that lab. And there have been leaks, SARS leaks at Chinese bioweapons labs before. All these labs leaked. So that, I believe, is what happened. I don't believe this was, deliberate sabotage by anyone. It was an accident.
Now, this is a pandemic that has affected several countries, sir. India is also one of them. So far, 2 deaths have been recorded and over 80 cases have been recorded from across the country. In such a scenario, what would your message be to the people of this country?
Well, okay. Let me conclude with one point. I did a few weeks ago give an interview to Fox TV News there in India. And Prime Minister Modi has to take this very seriously because, you have a lot of poor people there in India without access to adequate health. And I think he should look at what South Korea has done to try to contain this. South Korea is a democracy, and they seem to be doing a big job at it. Now, I'm not saying, it is democracy. So, of course, you're not going to do everything that China did. But I think South Korea would be an excellent model to follow since they seem to be bringing some.
That was Francis Boyle talking to us here on Times Now about why he thinks this could be a leak of a bioweapon from China. So thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now.